Okay, this is going to be a tutorial on the asset browser and asset editor in BeamNG.drive. So we're going to cover two parts of this video. We're going to cover the asset browser itself and how to import or add developer-made assets, objects, what have you, to your custom map. So this is a highly requested video tutorial on the BeamNG Discord. It's actually pretty simple. A lot of people assume that you need to copy the asset files, like the .dae, over to your folder, and then that way you have it referenced in your map. You can do that, but it's not recommended because, for one, it makes the loading take a lot longer. It's loading up your version of the asset as opposed to the developer's version of the asset, and it also increases your file size significantly. So your zip file for your mod or for your level is going to be massive if you have copied over every single texture in model file. The better way to do it is to reference the items. So this can be done really simply through the asset browser in the world editor. Okay, so let's get into that. This is going to be the first part of the video. So load up your map. Apologies for the voice. I do have a little bit of a upper respiratory infection. Go into the world editor, F11, and the first thing I'm going to show you is the editor preferences. We talked about this in the toolbar video, but you're going to want to click this and check the preferences for asset browser. It's the first one up at the top left corner. So what we're looking for here is a couple different checkboxes. We've got vehicle assets, gameplay assets, all data folders, main folder, imposters. So there's definitely some customization for what you want to do. You can also export these settings and import them if you want to share. For my use, I skip the main folder, and I actually have the all data folders unchecked. So as this might this might sound, if you're looking to load every possible listing of the assets the developers have made, you can check this box. It will take a long time to load because there's quite a few in all of their maps. And the other downside is sometimes it doesn't load correctly. Sometimes it gets about halfway and then stops. So your mileage may vary depending on the update. I choose to keep it unchecked because it just takes too long to load. At the very bottom, you're going to see an option that says directories to load, and it's going to list some directories. So by default, you should have level name, which is the level that you're currently in. That should be your custom map. And then art, and then assets, and then that's it. And then I added in Italy. I'll just delete it and show you how you can re-add it. But these are your root folder level locations for all the objects and files that you can pull from. There's some pretty good ones already in the art and assets folders. I think what's happening is in the past, BeamNG devs kept all the assets in their respective folder locations. So all of the assets that were in ECA and East Coast USA stayed in East Coast USA. Now they're kind of centralizing them in these asset folders and art folders, and it's like a repository for shared assets, let's call it, shared assets between those maps. They also introduced something called link files, .link files, which are fantastic, and they allow modders to reference past directories where assets are, and if they get moved, they're automatically updated in the game through these link files. Complicated subject, but like I said in the previous video, all we need to know is that it future-proofs the location of your reference assets that you're using. So no need to copy anything to your actual mod folder. All you're doing is referencing. Okay. So let's go ahead and add Italy, or we can add another one. I'm going to show you. So this is a listing of all of the internal names for the levels. So automation test track, Cliff Derby, etc. So the way that we add the assets in the asset browser is we just use the level name and then the folder. So this is going to be art and assets are in the root folder, but this is going to be levels / Italy, and then click add. It does say that changes only take effect after the game restart or Lua reload. So the way that we do that, we can either shut the game down or we can press Control-L to reload the Lua. So that'll take a second. It'll reload the world editor. Now, when we go to Asset Browser, it's going to load all the assets. Looks like there's 11,000 of them. But depending on the storage device that you're saving the developer maps to, this shouldn't take too long. SSD cards are recommended, or SSD drives. And then if you have like an M.2 NVE, faster storage essentially is going to load this faster. Okay, so we've got our 4 folders that we selected: R level, art, assets, and then Italy. So when you click on the folder, it shows the subfolders, obviously, and any icons or images or JSON files in those. So you can go folder by folder: art, shapes, buildings, and then you see the sewer pipe, bus sign, etc. Or a better way, in my opinion, is to go to the Save filter at the top and click on All Models. So it's going to filter for DAE files. DAE files are the collada files. That's what they're called, collada files, that make up the model. So this is what BeamNG uses. Some other games and programs might use OBJ, FBX. There's a variety of them, but BeamNG uses .dae. So now we have a repository to check out these assets. You could just drag and drop them in, so simple as that. Got some dirt piles, right? Bus sign, charging station. And you even have like some holiday items as well. Claudio motors, signs off, we can bring it up in the air. Yep, so these are all from Italy, right? Some of them looks like from okay, so this is actually all of the folders together. I just forgot about that. Yep, so it's all the assets together, which is nice. All of them. If you just wanted Italy, you could just have just Italy. And from here, you can go and look for your objects. Let's see. Brie. Just rock. So what this is doing is when I drag this into my map, it's referencing that file in its location. If you hover over, you can see the location. So levels, Italy, art, shapes, buildings. It's not copying it to our folder. It's referencing it. And the nice thing about, like I said, the link file is if the developer decides to move this file, and let's say they move it from shapes to, I don't know, buildings to something else, prefabs or something like that, the link file that they replace it with should allow the system to automatically point to the new location. Pretty sweet. Yeah, so that's basically it. Let's go ahead and add another directory. So that would be under Window, or you can go to Preferences. It's the same button as this one. Asset Browser. Let's go ahead and add East Coast USA. So East_Coast USA. It's a popular one. Levels. East Coast USA. Add. I'm going to delete Italy. Just saves time. And then Control L to reload the Lua. Apologies for the voice. I've got a little bit of cold. I'm gonna have some tea. All right, so now when we look at the asset browser, it's a different number. Notice that even though we changed the directory, the files are still here, right? Because the directory is just a way to browse the files. The references can still reference those objects regardless of what's selected in the asset browser. All right, so let's do the same thing we did before. We got East Coast USA, save filter all models. And then we can see, let's find some ECA buildings here. ECA crate boat. The boat end, okay, let's see. Let's try that. Nice, looks pretty good. A little boat dock area. Not really applicable to my map, but you know, you get the idea. So that is how you reference assets from other maps. I hope that helps. Remember to save, reload. Before switching to export and import, let's talk about one other thing. So notice that some of these show with bright orange, right? Let me bring the inspector out here. Move you out of the way. So these are just the thumbnails. Sometimes they don't display the correct texture, right? It's actually really cool. I might use that flag. However, highly recommend that there's a couple main.materials.json files out there, but the reason these textures load is because I have defined them in my materials file. So basically, for my map editing purposes, I have tried to collect all of the possible developer materials. And you can see those in the material editor, right? If I go to material editor, I click on this building, and I say I want to see which materials are on this particular building. I can say from scene selection, and then I can look at it. So all of these elements here, Italy sidewalk, windows, roof tiles, they all show up because in my main.materials.json file, I have defined Italy building roof tiles. I can share my file if you're interested. There's quite a few out there, but let me just show you where that lives. So if we go to our drag this over. Current folder, levels. In art, I have my main.materials JSON file. I'm gonna open it up, and I like to use Visual Studio Code. You can use Notepad++, but you need some sort of text editor. And then if I look for, let's just say I use that same one, Italy building roof tiles, Italy underscore building roof. Lo and behold, I have an entry right here. This whole thing right here is one material for that texture, that material. Just like assets, I don't need to have the actual images saved to my folder. If I look at the root folder for my map, if I look under textures, I don't even have a texture folder, but if I look under shapes, buildings, I have the ones that are custom for my map, but I have no. I look for Italy building. Nothing. There's no Italy building roof tiles underscore d.dds. There's no image file. It's all referenced in the material name. Super big time saver. It's great. As long as you have that pre set up in your main materials file, you should be able to drag any one of these files. And the first one I picked doesn't have it. The drag strip. And let's try this one. Creepy house. Sweet. Yeah, it works. And you'll be able to tell if it doesn't have it with a giant orange highlight. Firewatch. I'm not sure why the preview images don't work. They normally do. But there's my Firewatch tower that's extracted directly from ECA, and I can just reference it. All of the beautiful texture work. Okay. That concludes section 1 of the video